Hi, I'm Diane Kometa, and today on Dishin with Di, I'm going to show you how to make lasagna. This is a classic Italian dish with 3 cheeses and a delicious meat sauce, a definite crowd pleaser. So let's get started on Dishin with Di. I don't think I know anyone who doesn't love lasagna, and for me the most important part is the sauce. So in this recipe I made a really nice hearty meat sauce. It's really thick and it's very tasty. So let me show you how I did this. Start by heating a large pot over medium-high heat and add in some olive oil. Then add in some finely chopped onions and season those with a little bit of salt and some freshly ground black pepper. And cook those for about 2 minutes until they're nice and soft. Then add in some lean ground beef and chop that up into nice fine bits and cook the meat until it's very nicely browned. Then add some finely minced garlic and toss that around for about 30 seconds until it's very fragrant. Then mix in some tomato paste. Pour in some Marsala wine or the red wine of your choice and scrape up those flavorful brown bits from the bottom of the pot and stir and cook this for about 2 minutes. And then pour in some tomato sauce. Then rinse each can with a little bit of water to get out that extra sauce from the bottom, and then pour that into the sauce. Give that a nice mix through. And now come in with some seasonings. Dried oregano, dried basil, add a little sprinkle of crushed red pepper flakes, and a little bit of light brown sugar. Season that with a little bit more salt. Give that a nice stir and get everything thoroughly combined. And when the sauce begins to bubble and simmer, reduce the heat to medium-low, then partially cover the pot with the lid and cook that for about 2.5 hours, stirring occasionally until it's nice and thick. Then take that off the burner and let that cool off a bit, and that's when you're going to get your pot of water ready for your lasagna noodles. And you want a nice big pot. I usually use like an 8-quart pot, and then get that water boiling, season it with some salt, throw your noodles in there, and let those cook according to the package directions. So while that's happening, that's when I usually make my cheese filling. So we have 3 cheeses here. So the first is some whole milk ricotta cheese, then I have some whole milk mozzarella that's shredded, and then I have some finely grated Parmesan cheese. And you want a nice big bowl because you're going to mix these ingredients together. So into the bowl, add in your mozzarella cheese, and I have some additional mozzarella and Parmesan cheese that we're going to put on the top. So the cheeses don't stop here. So put in your Parmesan cheese too. And then I have some fresh parsley that I've chopped up nice and fine. And this adds a really nice flavor. If you don't have fresh, you could use dried, but the fresh does taste a little bit better in the cheese. And then I have some eggs here, and I'm just going to lightly whisk these. I like to crack them in a separate bowl just to make sure I don't get any shells or anything. And the eggs are important because that's going to hold the cheeses together. So when you get this thing in the oven and everything gets really hot, you don't want the cheeses to start just oozing out. So when the eggs are in there, it keeps everything together and gives you that real nice layer of cheese. So we want to season this a little bit. So I'm going to add some fresh ground black pepper to it and a little bit of salt. I'm not going to put too much salt in because the Parmesan cheese is already a little salty, so we don't want too much. So just put a little of that, and this is sea salt. I like the sea salt in here. And then you just want to mix this through until it's really thoroughly combined. And there we go. That's combined. And then I took a 9 by 13 inch baking dish and I greased that with some non-stick spray. You could also use olive oil if you want to. Now at this point, you want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees and put your rack in the center position. So your noodles should be about done cooking at this point, and you want to drain those off. And then what I like to do is grease a baking sheet with some non-stick spray and then put the noodles on there nice and flat so that they cool off so that I can handle them. I also separate them with a piece of parchment paper. So that's what I have right here. So now we're ready to put the whole thing together. So into your baking dish, you're going to take some of your sauce and you just want to line the bottom just like this. So just get a nice ladle full and spread that out. So now we're going to get some noodles on here. So you take some of your noodles and you just put your noodles down just like this, and you want to kind of overlap them just a little bit. So I put 4 down. And then you're going to come over into your cheese mixture and you're going to put half of it onto the noodles. So don't just put like a big blob in the center, because then it's going to be hard to spread it out. So just put a little bit down all over. This is going to be real nice and cheesy. And then just go ahead and get either a spatula or you could use the back of a spoon, either way, and you're just going to spread that out in a nice layer. That looks beautiful, doesn't it? Oh, and now we're going to put some sauce on there. So what I like to do to try to keep track of how much I'm putting on is I have a measuring cup. And I'm just going to pour this right down the center. And I usually like to put like about 1.5 cups, just like that. And then I'm going to go and just spread this out nice and evenly. When you do make this recipe, you're going to see that you have more sauce than you need. And I do that because I like to have extra left over to either put on the plate, or I like to just have that extra. You know, if you're going to cook something for that long, why not have a little extra? What I always say is more is better than not enough, right? Okay, so now on top of that meat sauce, you're going to put more noodles. So you're just going to repeat your layering. The rest of your cheese is going to go on, and then we're going to top this with another layer of noodles. And then some more sauce on top. Just want to make sure all of your noodles are covered with the sauce. And now we're going to top it off with some more cheese, as if there's not enough, okay? So we have some more mozzarella cheese, and I have some more finely grated Parmesan cheese. So just sprinkle that over in a nice even layer. And then we're just going to top that off with the Parmesan. Just sprinkle that over the top. Look at that. Oh, that is a meal fit for a king. Beautiful. So now we have to bake this. So you're going to cover this up. And what I like to do is get a piece of foil and I spray it with some non-stick spray on the underside so it doesn't stick to the cheese. And then you're going to put this over top of your dish and make it tight so that it's not like touching the cheese if possible. And then just seal that up, and then it could bubble over a little bit. So what I also do is take a baking sheet and I put some foil on that because I don't feel like cleaning up the baking sheet. And then I put that on top of the baking sheet. Now you're going to take this whole kit and caboodle and put this into your oven for about 30 minutes with the foil on, and then you're going to remove the foil and leave it uncovered for about another 15 minutes until that cheese on top gets a little bit browned. And then let it rest for about 20 minutes before you slice into that beauty. And then put a piece of that beautiful lasagna on a plate and garnish it with a little bit of basil. And that is something you would be happy to serve any of your guests. So let's just take a slice right here. Let's just grab some of this and dig in. Flavor. The meat sauce is so delicious. You would be crazy not to make this. It is out of this world. It is definitely something that your guests would be impressed with. It's not over seasoned. There's not too much cheese. It's just the perfect balance of everything. And I think you're really gonna like it. You might also like some of my other lasagna recipes. So go get this with the meat sauce recipe and the ingredients on my website, dishinwithdi.com. And I hope I made your life a little easier, more enjoyable, and delicious. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.